I'm going to speak about Microsoft Teams with a specific focus on first line workers today. So, before we get into more details of Microsoft Teams and different features, I think it's important for us to get some perspective about first line workers before that. So, first line workers, as you can see, are known to be one of the most underserved workforce in any organization. While we spend most of our energy and efforts into selling to the usual information workers, which you can see here, uh, these so information workers are usually your knowledge workers who are typically in roles with a higher level of autonomy, and these are the people who tend to transform information or create documents using productivity applications. So while we do that, I think we're missing out on a very big opportunity to sell to a major chunk of workforce in any organization, which are called first line workers. Now, these first line workers are typically in roles with well defined responsibilities. The type of work that these guys do requires greater mobility in the workplace, and physical environment is usually industry specific. First line workers, again, can be divided into two different categories. So one is service workers and one is task workers. Now, service workers are typically people who perform more client facing activities, and you can think of them as face of any organization. Task workers, on the other hand, are people who usually do more operational activities, and you can think of them as heart of any organization. So service workers, like I said, are the people who are more in client-facing activities. So these will be people like employees who answer customer questions, who manage client orders, etc. And we'll get into more details of which kind of industries have more service workers versus which kind of industries have more task workers. But for now, I just want you to have a little bit idea about how are we differentiating these. So like I said, task workers are going to be people who are performing more operational activities. So these are going to be people who are more focused on, for example, producing or maintaining products, who run daily operations in an organization, etc. So let's just tap into industries which primarily are run by service workers. So as you can see here, right, um, service workers are the main driving force of these industries. So if we pick, for example, airlines, it's majorly going to be run by people who do more client-facing jobs, like flight attendants, ticket agents. These are service workers. And your aircraft mechanics, your cargo handlers, these people are going to be your task workers. So the statistics that you see here are primarily just an indicator of how these industries are mainly focused and mainly run by service workers. Now, if you pick, for example, healthcare, a lot of your workforce is going to be service workers, which means people like personal care helpers, home health assistants. All these people have to be at client location, facing people, and just acting like a face of the organization. Task workers, on the other hand, are going to be people who are working in back end. For example, your technicians, your housekeeping guys, etc. Now, this slide basically captures industries which are mainly run by task workers, and if you pick, for example, process manufacturing, it's a no-brainer that these kind of industries are going to be run by people who are doing more of operational activities. So, for example, in process manufacturing, your task worker is going to be a majority, and these are going to be people like your mechanics, your packaging operators, etc. While on the other hand, here service workers are going to be a minority, um, uh, which is going to be people in roles of customer services, or for example, production clerks, etc. Now, if you just have a look at this slide, you'll realize what kind of industries are mainly run by your task workers. For example, smart spaces will have Majority of task workers, for example, your construction laborers, your carpenters, etc. While service worker, like you can see here, is just going to be a 5% of the entire workforce. So I hope you get an idea of what I'm saying when I'm talking about the first line workers and the two categories of first line workers that we've defined here. So now I just want you to get an idea of what first line workers means for Microsoft Teams. And this video that I'm going to play also has some remarkable partner solutions in this area.
First-line workers engage directly with customers and represent a company's brand. For first-line workers, such as retail associates, flight crew members, and field service workers, being mobile is the nature of the job. Many companies rely on workforce management systems to handle important operational tasks related to this workforce, such as shift scheduling, payroll, and more. First-line workers need to be able to act and communicate quickly. To do this, workers can use Microsoft Teams and integrations available in the Teams App Store. We'd like to feature a few apps such as Karma, Kronos, and ADP that enable you to have an efficient and effective workflow. Let's look at the day in the life of Chloe, who is a store associate. Chloe arrives to work at 7:50 a.m. and has to punch in. She does this by logging into Teams and uses the Kronos app. Chloe can also see the hours she worked this week. Now let's look at Chloe's manager, Mary, who is doing a quick store check and notices there is a mess in aisle 27. She sends a message on Teams channel asking one of her employees to help clean up the mess. Chloe volunteers for the job and completes it within 30 minutes. Mary would like to congratulate Chloe for the good work. She uses the Karma bot in Teams to post a message in the channel, announcing Chloe as Employee of the Week and congratulates her. Now, Chloe is looking at her schedule for next week using the Kronos app. She needs to go to a doctor appointment and would like to swap her shift with Sarah, another store associate. Chloe sends a message on Teams channel asking Sarah if she could swap shifts. When Sarah receives the message, she uses the Kronos app to view her schedule and confirms that she can take Chloe's shift. Chloe sends a swap shift request to Sarah and gets her approval. The schedule change is reflected in Kronos. When it is the end of the pay period, Chloe can view her new pay statement using the ADP app. Chloe can review the breakdown of her pay statement by taxes and deductions. She can also see her time off balance, view benefits, and look up coworkers and company news. Throughout these activities, first-line workers were able to access information quickly by using different apps from within Teams. Having these various apps in Teams improves productivity and collaboration across the first-line workforce. To get started, go to the Teams App Store today to download these integrations and more.
So the idea of showing that video to you was basically to get you familiar with the kind of partner solutions that are getting built on top of Microsoft Teams to really ease the productivity workflow for the entire first line workforce. So think of Teams as a unique extensible solution for your first line workers. And these pointers here that you see basically contribute in making Teams the universal hub for first line workers. So if you want to think of a platform where you can bring your ready-made applications into one place, as well as add a custom line of business applications and services into the same platform, then Teams is the way to go about it. With Teams, you can very well add ready-made applications from the App Store like you saw in the video. On top of that, you can also upload custom line of business applications to your own tenant. And this entire application ecosystem is the way to add value, improve productivity, and make decisions faster for your organization, while also creating a collaboration around existing content and workflows. Now, shifts, for example, are a very important aspect in any first line worker and manager relationship. Shifts as a feature in Teams, offers rich shift management for first-line workers, and they can also track time and produce timesheets very conveniently by using time clock. So I'm just talking about these very briefly on the slide. After my presentation, I'll try to give you a small demo to see all these things in action. I'll give you a demo on how shifts or timesheets or these applications work. Now, moving on to the next point. When I say customized Teams experience, what I mean is, as an organization, what you can do is you can apply a pre-packed or a custom app policy to enable your first-line workforce to have access to the experiences they need for their role. With this, you can foster a much better work-life balance with customized notifications, and you can in fact define quiet hours for your organization. Moving on to the next point. Undoubtedly, Teams is a collaboration platform, and it enables your workforce to connect and communicate with teams which might be actually physically distributed across different geographies, and ensure that first-line workers stay up to date with announcements in Teams channels, intranet news, and interactive live events. Like I said, it is the main collaboration hub for your workforce, right? So when I say it empowers your workforce to communicate, what I mean is it enables the first-line workers to communicate the way they want with rich functionality of one-on-one and group chat. Which means they can leverage organized channels, calling, video calling, different teams, etc. Now, moving on to the next point, enable access to contextual information. By this, what I mean is you can give your employees access to resources which are relevant for their day-to-day jobs. So these resources can be things like handbooks, policies, on-demand videos, stream videos from Teams itself. And to say the least, Teams is built on top of Office 365 groups, Microsoft Graph, and thus it obviously has the same enterprise level security, compliance, and manageability as the rest of Office 365. And one more point to add about security and compliance is the fact that Teams leverages identities stored in Azure Active Directory. Now let's tap into these points one by one to really understand how can Microsoft Teams bring value to first-line workers. So there is not really such a thing as a universal tool for work, right? But what we're trying through Microsoft Teams is to provide the extensibility of Teams platform to deliver a universal hub for teamwork, to infuse all these tools together. You can create enterprise-specific solutions for your users by integrating with your existing internal services and processes. And then after that, you can very well go ahead and publish a Teams line of business app to your private app source, like I said, and then depending on your situation, for example, you can follow up on these line of business apps by using dedicated channels for feedback and resolving issues. When you fully integrate an existing app or service into Teams, you can expect to reduce complexity in both development and testing by removing the usual legacy browser compatibility requirements. This benefit is realized when Teams becomes the entry point for your application. With Teams, one more very important factor that you see here is that you can, like I said, you can extend capabilities of your app or service by allowing it to render inside of Teams in a variety of ways that you see here. And these are the ways, these are different ways that Teams provides you in terms of choosing how do you really want your app to render into Teams. And as you can see here, right? Tabs, bots, connectors, these basically bring in different kinds of capabilities to give you the flexibility to really choose as to how do you really want your application to be surfaced on Teams, and how do you want your users to use it, for example, one-on-one scenarios or in a group scenario. So tabs, for example, so think of tabs as your iframes, which you can use to bring in your content from web pages or websites. Now, bots, I don't think I need to explain bots, but there are so many options and so many capabilities that comes with the bot service, which enables you to pick whichever kind of conversation capabilities you want in your bot, whether it be natural language processing or user-guided actions or maintaining state of conversations, etc. Messaging extensions, for example, are a way for a user to be able to query information or post information to your application from within the Teams app itself without really having to close Teams and go to the browser to perform actions on the application. Then connectors, as you can see here, they add rich interaction to your workflow updates. Activity feed is again another amazing way to really engage your users with the application activities with the help of @mentions and notification system. So that is what. So that is how you can really manage various applications from this one interface and better secure your entire organization for apps. Now, talking about shifts and timesheets, and this is in particular very important for first-line workers. So this feature in Teams lets first-line workers and their managers use their mobile devices to manage schedules and keep in touch. So you don't really need to go and punch in on a different interface and then record your time on a different interface. No, what we are saying is use this one feature inside the same app that you're using for collaboration to really manage your schedules and keep in touch. So time clock, like you see here, and I will show you a demo also in a while. It makes time tracking and a snap. It's actually a tap. It's just like a tap that you have to do. So employees can clock in and out using their mobile devices, and managers can set up optional location detection, which is completely up to how you would probably want your organization to set up this whole experience. So like I said, it's an optional service, a location detection, which will start documenting whether or not employees are present at a given location when they clock in and out. And with shifts, again, managers can very easily plan shift schedules with all their employees, and it gives you, as employees, it gives you the capability to really go ahead and check your shifts, reschedule your shifts, swap your shifts with your peers and things like that. And one more important point that I want to cover here is our Graph API for shifts. So many companies today rely on workforce management systems to handle important operational tasks related to their first-line workers. And these are tasks like shift scheduling, payroll, benefits, time, attendance, things like that. So we're working on a set of new APIs that enable organizations to integrate their existing workforce management systems with Teams, and Graph API for shifts is the way to go about it. So moving on. Now, it's very important for an organization to be able to really decide which kind of applications really make sense for which kind of workforce in their organization, right? So, so the way to go about it is a feature called customization of Teams experience. Now, what this means is, as an admin, you can provision what policies apply to which portion of workforce who's going to use this app, which means you can use the first line worker app setup policy to pin shifts to teams. Obviously, it's going to make sense for shifts to be a readily available uh, button on the app for first line workers, right? So you can do that with the help of, like you can see here, first line worker app setup policies. These app-led setup policies let you customize teams to highlight the apps that are most important for users in your organization. Now, the apps set in a policy are pinned to the app bar, which is going to be, I can show it to you in a while, which is going to be on desktop. It's going to be the bar on the side of Teams desktop client to the left, and on a mobile app, it's going to be at the bottom of Teams mobile clients, where users can quickly and easily access these applications, and that's the intention, right? Teams also includes a built-in first-line worker app setup policy that you can assign to first-line workers in your organization, and by default, the policy includes activity, shifts, chat, and calling apps in their main custom bar. But again, the one that I mentioned is a built-in policy, but you're again free to set up your own custom policies. This is your own requirements, and that's the intention. In fact, I have also customized my Teams bar towards the left of my Teams desktop client for the apps that I use more frequently in my day to get my job done. And so I have customized it on desktop because this is where I use Teams more frequently. But you can, like I said, you can very well go ahead and do it on any device that you've installed your Teams app in. So the intention of doing it for me is, for example, for me to be able to have a very easy access to these applications. And let me just quickly switch to my Teams and show you what I'm talking about. So the bar that you see here, right, this is where you can add or remove application shortcuts that you think are more suitable for your day-to-day activities. So some of them, for example, activity, chat, Teams, these are the custom icons you'll see in a usual setup when you install Teams. But when I speak about adding and pinning specific custom apps, these are the apps that you can see. For example, Disco, Quora, Leave, these are the applications that I use very frequently and I have added to my bar. And the way to go about doing this is also very simple. What you do is, for example, when I'm downloading a new application, let's say I want to download this application, right? So I will just go ahead and add this app to my Teams, and so it's done. So, and then I can just go ahead and pin this, which means now whenever I open Teams, it will be pinned to my bar. And if you want to remove it after a while, you can go ahead and unpin it also. So it's as simple as this, to just customize your bar basis, the applications that you want to use more frequently. And while I'm at it, let me just show you the different capabilities that I was talking about in this slide. So I was talking to you about the different kinds of features they have here, right? When you want to, for example, when you want to surface an application on Teams, these are the different ways to go about it. So I have a sample application installed in my Teams, which gives a very good perspective of what tabs, bots, messaging extensions really are. So if you look at this app, or let's just take this app, okay? So for example, this is a sample app, which in fact you can also go ahead and install just to try out. So this is a sample app for managing the whole leave application process in any organization. Now I have added this app to my Teams, and the first thing that it did was, okay, let's try to start from the scratch. So first thing that it did was ask me for my email ID and my manager's email ID to set things up. Now after doing that, now for me it's already done. So after doing that, it shows, so for example, this is the bot interface, and these are actions, buttons guiding different actions for me to start using the application. So for example, this bot is asking me a question, and if I just click on leave request, then it responds to me with a very rich response, if you see here, right? So, and like I was saying, in a bot, when you really start building a bot for your application, you'll realize that there's hundreds of things that you can add into a bot. So what, for example, this organization, whoever built this app, has done is make use of different features into the bot. So for example, they have a calendar added to this response. They have buttons added to this response, which further open up different form options to this. So this is a very good use of a bot interface. And let me just quickly show you a tab capability also that I was talking about. So tab, like I said, think of it as a canvas where you can embed information from your web pages or websites. So this is essentially a tab view of my balance status for all the leaves that I have used or not used in the past. So this is a very good example of a tab capability. And a messaging extension capability that I mentioned is going to be so it can be used from different places within this app. For example, you can go ahead and start using it from here, or you can go ahead and add mention an app here also. But if you see here, these are the apps, for example, which have embedded this capability of messaging extension into the app. So I think I have logged in my GitHub also to this Teams app. So what this does is when probably GitHub was thinking of integrating their application, what they did was enable the app to use messaging extensions. Now what I can do is, for example, you can see, right, you can also categorize information into different tabs within this messaging extension. So I can pick any of my pull requests, add it as content into the message, and have, you know, a collaborative chat about it. So this is broadly what I was talking about in this slide. So now think of first line workers such as a retail associate, who definitely, you know, plays a key role in representing your company's brand. But statistics actually show that this segment of workforce experiences some of the highest turnover rates. And obviously, the reason in these kind of situations would be dissatisfaction of employees, or them feeling, a lot of times a reason for people to leave their jobs or their organization is them feeling their work is not being recognized, or they're not really getting the visibility that they deserve in an organization. And that's what becomes very easy when we say that you can easily connect and engage with the help of this Teams application. So you can take steps to engage as an organization. If you're thinking, then you can take steps to engage and recognize employees, and that can go a long way to improving their satisfaction and reducing turnover. So we have something called a praise tool. This is just one of the examples of how you can start engaging in a more constructive manner. So for example, the praise tool, what it does is it gives managers and employees a very simple way to recognize co-workers right in Teams app where the whole team can see it. And this comes really handy. These kinds of tools come really handy in a workplace where you're not really sitting in one office and working together, right? And like I said, for first-line workers are going to be more mobile, which means they are going to be at their industry locations doing their jobs. So it's imperative for us to create, for example, if I was thinking from the lens of an organization admin, then it's very important for me to really make sure that I have a platform where people can start, giving kudos to each other, encouraging each other, and really celebrating each other's efforts and contributions and wins into this one platform. And that's what becomes really easy when we start connecting and engaging on Teams. Moving on, like I said, like Teams at the heart of it is a collaboration platform, right? And this enables first line workers to really have that kind of flexibility to communicate with their peers one on one, or create group chat with their peers or with their managers or whatsoever groups they are working in, and further organize it with the help of channels, and start calling them, texting them, add pictures, etc. So this gives a lot of options to the worker, which they deserve, to be able to really communicate with people within the organization easily and seamlessly. And let me just quickly show you what Teams and channels. I don't know how aware you are, but if you go to Teams, right, this is where you'll be able to see, for example, this is a team that you see here, and these are different channels that you can see. So while I create a team, I can also create further channels into the team to really categorize the kind of conversations or the kind of information that I want to share within it. So that's about collaboration piece. And moving on to the next and the last slide, um, about contextual information, right? So the modern Teams workplace is in fact encouraging people to consider these conversations and explore how they can be turned into actions by bringing internal and external information into the hub of the conversation. And this is important, right? To be able to really use that information and quickly take actions on it. So it really provides a platform to bring these information into the hub of your day-to-day conversations, and use this information to make decisions in a more informed and timely manner. Now, instead of having to go to one app and talk to a group of people there, and then use another app to talk to your manager, and use another app to share documents, what you can possibly do is, in this one platform, you can bring everything together and start taking decisions much faster. So now we'll move on to the demo that I was talking about. So for this demo, we're going to consider a company called Contoso. And let's say they are an electronics company, and they deliver and they sell electronic products to their customers. And that Contoso as an organization has deployed Teams platform for all their first-line workers to communicate, manage shifts, punch in, punch out, etc. And let's say I am a store associate, which means I'm a first-line worker at Contoso, and I am responsible for showcasing the latest products and services that Contoso has to offer. So how I go about using this app is, when I log in, I am like you can see here, I am shown this login screen, which comes with a conditional access policy, and this is something that Contoso has gone ahead and deployed for everybody who logs in, so that they can ensure conditional access, and everybody has to go through terms of use before really logging into the application when their day starts. So let's say I go ahead and accept it. Now what you see here, right, this is a very great way for how intelligent security like this can really extend the power to protect a company's assets without really disrupting for example, my or any first line worker's productivity. So after I accepted terms of use, I am then met with a notification from Teams explaining that I am off shift and my access to the application is going to be limited. So I go ahead and accept it. Now this is my off shift access that you can see here. So so this app now tells me that that my shift is off, and this time is not going to count in the payable hours, like you can see here. Now, this feature really ensures employees like me are only active in teams during their scheduled shifts, which in a way encourages, more work-life balance. So while I'm not on the clock yet, I can still access my schedule and make edits to my schedule, and which I should be able to. So I click on OK, and now I am finally seeing my shift schedule. So after accepting that notification, I can now use this feature to quickly check and manage my shift schedules. Now I can, like you can see here, I can scan my upcoming shift and have a proper view of what are the shifts that are scheduled for me for today or for the entire week, depending on how much I am willing to just, check and probably swap with, let's say I want to swap a shift with a fellow colleague for one of the days. So as you can see here, I can very well just go ahead and see my schedule for upcoming days. Now, let's say I want to swap my Thursday shift. So I just click on this, and now if you can see here, I can see details of this shift along with any day and shift notes that you see here, right? So I want to see who else is working this day, so that it gives me a better idea of I don't know who else probably I can swap this shift with. So I just go ahead and click on this, and now I have a visibility into who else is working on the same day. So like you can see here, you can see the managers who are going to be managing and other store associates, which means other colleagues of mine who are working on the same day. Now if I just go back and then I just click on swap to really go ahead and swap this shift with somebody, I can just go ahead and click on swap, and now it's showing me the screen where I can send a request to my coworker to see if he or she is willing to swap with me. So now let's say this is the shift that I want to swap, and I have to go ahead and select my colleague who I want to swap the shift with. So I will go ahead and just click on this, and now this is from this calendar. I can just go ahead. So for Thursday is what I'm looking for, right? So I can just go ahead and click on this Thursday from the calendar, navigate to Thursday, and here let's say 2 of my colleagues are working and I want to swap with Alex. Now I can just go ahead and choose Alex, and as you can see here, this enables me to easily create and manage my schedule on the go. Now let's just click on send, and this will just go ahead and give a notification to Alex that I am requesting for a swap. So it's as easy as you can see here. Now let's say I want to go back to my shifts, and I want to search for open shifts if I want to pick up a few more hours. Let's say I want to work some extra hours. So I will just go back, and now what I want to do is check open shifts. So I'll just go ahead and click on open shifts. Now this gives me a view of all the shifts that are available for other people to pick up as extra working hours. So let's say I'm available on 28th, and this is the slot that I want to request for. So now I can just click on request, and once I choose the shift, a notification will be sent to my manager for approval. Now after managing which means after I've done sending a request, my manager can very easily decide whether or not I should be taking this up, and once she does that, I'll get a notification. Now let's say I have finally reached my store and I want to start working. So what the first thing that I'll do is I'll go ahead and click on time clock. Now this is and then I'm just going to go ahead and click on this. Now this time clock built into shifts makes it very easy for me to visually track when my shift starts, how long I have been on my shift, and I can even track my break times. So as you can see here, right, this is going to be my shift clock, this is going to be my break clock. Now let's click on shift. Now with time clock, I no longer forget to clock in and out. I can better track my when my shift starts and stops at the touch of a button, like you saw, right? Now now this is why and this is what I was mentioning in the presentation also about how easy it becomes with the help of a time clock or a shift to really start for punching in, punching out for me as an employee, and for my organization or the admin of my organization to really track as to whether or not we are working good number of hours, and whether or not, more importantly, whether or not the time that first line workers like me are putting in is productive or not, whether or not that is the best way to really spend time and get my work done. And as you saw, right, these are literally just navigating through buttons into the app, and that's why the whole concept of shifts and time clock makes teams so important for first line workers productivity management. Now let's say I want to go back to my shift screen, and like you saw, right, I have clocked in, and I can now begin my rounds on the showroom floor virtually, right from Teams. My experience is different and tailored to my role, and my organization's IT department has pinned some apps that are more relevant for me that you can see here, right? These are the customized application view that I was talking about. So let's say I want to just go ahead and check what notification I am getting here. So I can check my activity feed, and I can see here that I have been mentioned by somebody in the inventory channel inside of Seattle Store 1-to-1 team that you can see here. Now let's say I want to go ahead and see what this notification is about. Here I can see an important message notifying me and rest of my team that they only have 10 chargers left in the store. So for example, you can see here the tag of like inventory has been tagged here. So this is also another way of really, making the best use of the notifications and activity log system. So because this group or this team or this channel was tagged, I got this notification. Now, if I just go ahead and check who all are in this group, right? I can click on it, and here I can see the people who are a part of this group. Now, with this kind of targeted communication in Microsoft Teams, customized tags like these can be applied to team members based on categories like role, department, or expertise, making it easier to get the attention of those who need it the most. And that's what they just did, right? Because I was a part of this team, and three of us are probably working on, for example, this store today. So it's very easy for somebody to bring something to our attention and really start working on it as soon as we get this notification. So like I said, these two people are a part of my team, and let's just go back and check this. And now I am just going to go ahead and like this comment, like this. I just want to let this person know that I've seen it. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this, and then like you can see here, there's a lot of ways for me to be able to react to it. So let's just say so you don't see the reply option here, but that's also something that's been recently added onto Teams. When you click on a message, you have an option to reply here itself. For example, if you want to reply to that specific message. Anyway, so let's just say I want to go ahead and like it so that Miriam knows that somebody has actually seen this message, and it notifies it to her that somebody has seen it. Now let's say I want to go ahead and write a reply to her, so I can go ahead and mention her, which will make sure that it goes to her notification box. And then I'm just typing, thanks for the heads up, I'll order more right away. So like you can see here, right? So this is a great way to really fasten the whole, reduce the whole to and fro, which might cause delay in getting things done. So that's the beauty of notifications. Now let's just say I go back, and you can see here these are other apps which are very relevant for me in my role. I showed shifts. I have told you what Teams chat activity does. Now let's see what what inventory does. So in a scenario, for example, where Miriam had asked me to order some chargers because we were running out of them, I can just go ahead and click on this app. It takes me to the whole inventory application. Now this application might just be hosted somewhere, might just be hosted by the IT department of my company somewhere. But I can see here in Teams, which makes it very easy for me to just not even have to context switch, and right after seeing that notification, I can come here and go ahead and make a request to order the chargers. So this is why I just wanted to demo this application so that you get an idea of how, without context switching at all, since the beginning I was in this app, and from punching in to getting things done, I don't really have to leave this app for any kind of activity. So this is I felt that this is the best way to probably give you a better idea of how shifts or time clock or activity log can really empower me, for example, a first line worker as an employee, to really get things done faster. Thank you.
Lokesh, Modern Workplace Collaboration Architect. Thanks for joining us on a Protect Day webinar series. In this session, we will cover meeting experience in Teams and team rooms. Let's start off with the Teams meeting functionalities that we have in Teams. Generally, when we talk about Teams meeting, it is not. It's not only features when we it's not only the features which are like scheduling a meeting and then having people join the meeting, and then you have these capabilities of recording the meeting. It's not just about that, but how Teams meeting is addressing all of these challenges that you see here in this slide. That is, unprepared attendees or no context to what has been shared. Some are not even aware of what the meeting has been set up for. And you also feel that the remote attendees who are joining into the meeting are not feeling inclusive, right? As compared to the people who are in the same room and are having a discussion. So there are a lot of capabilities that has been added to Teams, and there has been a few capabilities that has been enhanced through the OEM devices that we have added as part of Teams qualified devices. And that is something that I'll be covering here. So if we have to focus more on with Teams being a chat, collaboration, and files and meetings, we will today focus on more on meetings and what is the experience that Teams meetings brings in. With Teams being a chat, collaboration, and files and meetings, we will today focus on more on meetings and what is the experience that Teams meetings brings in. So when we talk about Teams meeting, these are options that are available. There are four options that are there, and four important pillars which makes Teams meeting. One is the online meetings, which you are aware of. You can easily create a meeting, include people from within your organization as well as outside your organization. You can include guests within the meeting and have a meeting run with about 250 attendees in a single meeting, right? And what if you have to extend that meeting to more than 250? Like until the last week, we were supporting up to 10,000 users in a live event. There are two ways you can schedule a live event, which is a complex, producers and the audio video devices that are used, just like a large conference that happens. Or you can use Teams Meeting Quick Start, which is also a large conference where it stretches up to 1 lakh users now. Earlier it was 10,000 users. Now the number of users that can be supported within live event has been extended to 1 lakh users. And with Quick Start, you can easily schedule a call, schedule a meeting, and you can choose to have that quick start if you want to run it within Teams. And you can define who are those people who can assist you while the number of users that can be supported within live event has been extended to 1 lakh users. And with Quick Start, you can easily schedule a call, schedule a meeting, and you can choose to have that quick start if you want to run it within Teams. And you can define who are those people who can assist you while it could be a hands-on, it could be a all hands, or it could be a large event or a webinar that you are doing for your customers and partners. You can easily have some people who are going to assist you while you publish those webinars or while you present in the live event. Like you can have few people as a producer, you can have few people as um, moderator who can handle the questions that they get. So these are some of the functionalities that are there, and there's a short video which probably I will share as part of this session, where it covers on how you can schedule a live event. It could be the complex one or a quick start, which is available right within Teams, and have that organized for your partners or even within your organization to run a all hands or a leadership connect event. So audio conferencing is another feature that comes along. Here I would like to call out that audio conferencing is a feature that was available across for more than a year in other regions, but with here in India, it has been rolled out since December. We have partnered with Tata to have that landed here in India. So with audio conferencing, when you send out a meeting, even the meeting that you would have received right now, you have a join meeting published, a link published. When you click on that, you just join the Teams meeting. With that, there may be a requirement where users might not be able to join through Teams meeting because of a lack of or a very bad data network, and they would probably want to be part of the meeting, at least for the audio part of the conversation or the meeting that has been scheduled. So in that case, we are publishing also a dial-in number, which is a toll-free number. So this is available in India as well. If you want to roll that out, we can have that positioned or rolled it for your customers in India, where they with that solution integrated, we can now have that dial-in numbers published, and then you have they can either dial into a meeting if they don't have a good data network, or while you are running a meeting, if you choose to dial out and include another PSTN user, you can do so as well. So these are the two functionality that comes along with audio conferencing feature, dial out and dial in, and this is now available for India users as well. Teams device, I will call that out in detail. So there are, when we talk about Teams device, while we talk about the meeting experience, it's very much important to have it paired with a right set of device to lighten up your meeting experience. Be it a personal set of devices that you would want to have, which is a speaker or just a headset, or those which may be required by every employee, and it goes up to how you can lighten up the meeting experience from a small huddle room to a medium-sized meeting room to a large conference meeting rooms. How you can light that up with the Teams device, or rather how you can light it up with the OEMs that we have, and the portfolio, the device portfolio that they bring with all the qualified set of devices. How you can enlighten the meeting experience is something that you also need to understand. So with this, I would like to, this is something that we have already called out, a consistent experience everywhere. That is, you may be in a, you're just traveling, and then you are on you have logged into a meeting over your mobile. You can easily transfer that to your desktop client once you have reached office, or even have that joined from a meeting room or a huddle room that is available within your organization as you step into your office. And I will call that out in detail. There's a lot of features that are there called proximity join, and that really helps employees and users to seamlessly join across multiple devices, and that is what we are referring to here. And intelligent and inclusive is where we have this live caption and many other features that are included as part of the meeting experience. And also, I think one which everybody would be aware of is the custom background. You can either blur your background so that anybody who is behind, or anything that is behind you while you're having a video call, is not visible. You can also have it as a custom background. It could be, and I will show you a video on how a custom background can be set. Easy and secure. Anyway, I think that is something that is available for every service, and that goes with Teams as well. So this is what I was talking about when we refer to Microsoft Teams meeting experience. We have this before, during, and after experience, which is stitched together to make a more effective virtual meeting or even an in-person meeting. So when we talk about before, we have how attendees can chat before the meeting starts, and they can prepare for the agenda. They can share the documents that needs to be, discussed during the meeting, or even co-author in that space, so that everybody are aware of what is going to be discussed in the meeting, what are the documents that needs to be updated before the meeting starts. And when you go back to that particular meeting and open it in your calendar, you should get a complete context to what the meeting is all about. Like, you have the chat experience right there, you have the all the recordings that we have done as part of the meeting is available right there, all the files that has been shared. You can also capture the meeting notes live while you are discussing. So in that case, everybody are able to see the meeting notes that has been updated while they discuss, and also have all those action items captured right within the meeting experience. With that, you can also bring in a digital whiteboard right within the meeting experience. So you don't have to go for a physical board. But I would also give you an example on how, if you have a physical whiteboard in a room, in a meeting room, and how that can be leveraged within the leveraged within the meeting, so that even people who are joining from a remote location and are not part of that particular room, where the meeting room where the meeting has been hosted, and the rest of the people are connected, they would still feel that they have a seat in that room, and they feel inclusive because of the feature that we have enabled, so that even a content which is there on a physical whiteboard is easily and clearly visible to a remote participant. And during meeting experience, as always, you have this live captions, subtitles, regardless of and multiple language support. You can always co-author on a document during the meeting, because co-authoring is something that comes as a Teams capability, and that is available in the meeting experience as well. And whiteboarding is something that we have already covered. After the meeting, it is very easy. Just have to open the meeting within Teams, and you'll be able to get everything that has been discussed in that meeting, every notes, every chat, all that captured as a part of our after meeting. It's not so that some of the features that are available only with the desktop or the mobile client, but you can see that this experience is across. And while we are talking about joining meeting in any of these devices, there's also another feature called mobile companion mode, and I will touch upon that in detail. This slide again talks about the live event we discussed. Currently, the slide needs to be updated. It is 10,000 viewers, but now it supports up to 1 lakh users. And you can schedule, produce, present a meeting within Teams itself, a live event within Teams itself. It's not a separate, service or an app that is available for Teams live event, but rather it's the same Teams client that is used to even produce a large event like the one that we are talking about. So with that, let me move on to Meet Anywhere, and you can see that you can easily click on when you join a meeting from the mobile client. You can easily click on share. You can share a photo, live video, files from from your mobile. Just like the way I'm presenting right now from my desktop, I can do the same from my mobile as well. There is no difference. And even if I talk about share screen is nothing but mirroring. Earlier you had to have another application that is installed on your desktop, and then you had to pair it with your mobile. But now when you're in a meeting and you want to present something from your mobile, or even if you want to include or present mobile screen, you can just use share screen option there and easily have contents that is available on your mobile included in the meeting, along with what you are presenting in from a desktop. So in a way, if I have to you can join the same meeting from your mobile as well as your from the desktop client at the same time, so that you can have some information shared from your desktop and have some information shared from your mobile as well. Okay, so this is as you can see here, we are just selecting one of the PowerPoint presentation, and we are able to share it seamlessly within mobile itself. When you upload a file in a meeting and when you start sharing it, even if you upload it from your desktop or from mobile, you can suppose you're presenting it from your desktop client, Teams client, and what you can do is you can use your mobile, join the same meeting, and use your mobile as a clicker. That is just to progress the presentation, progress the slides. You can use your mobile while you don't have to be tagged on or tied up with your desktop, but you can move around and change the slides from your mobile while you're presenting from your desktop. So these are some of the features that comes along when we talk about Teams mobile companion mode, and I think that is something that everybody should leverage, because those are the key value adds while you're running a meeting within Teams. So Meet Anywhere, again, you can easily take photos, you can start presenting that particular photo. As I said, mobile companion mode, when you join a meeting from your desktop, and you can leverage your mobile camera as an additional camera within the meeting experience. Like for example, I have joined a meeting from my desktop client now. I can join from my mobile and project what is there on a physical physical whiteboard in the room, so that attendees are able to see what is there on a physical whiteboard as well as the digital whiteboard that is there part of the meeting. So these are some of the features which comes along and for meeting experience. Like I mentioned, there are a lot of features that are enabled. These are the intelligent, mobile connectivity features that are there. While you're in a meeting, it clearly shows you, notifies that you have a low battery. Do you want to turn off the video? Or if there is a bad network and it notifies saying that you want to turn off the video because of the poor network that you have. Or while you're connecting, if that gets disconnected, the call gets disconnected because of the bad data network, it also prompts you whether you want me to call back and add you into the meeting through PSTN, or dial into this meeting so that you can still continue to be part of the audio part of the meeting discussion. So these are again an added value during the meeting experience. This is just walk through on how an external user can join the meeting. When you send a request to an external user, he gets an email invitation. When he clicks on join meeting, it opens up the Microsoft Teams client. Either he can choose to connect from a web browser or download and install the Teams, and when he joins, he can just enter his name and he's able to be part of all the functionalities within Teams, like the video call, every presentation that has been every screen share and presentations that is being done. Even a guest user will be actively participating in the meeting. So meeting first, this is one option while you plan for your users, for your existing customers or for new customers. You might come across some customers who are on Skype for Business Server, and there are a lot of dependency to migrate from Skype for Business Server to Skype for Business or to Microsoft Teams. So in that case, what you can work out is have the chat calling in meeting still on Skype for Business Server, which they have deployed in their infrastructure, and have meeting first option rolled out for them. In that case, all their meetings will be scheduled in Teams. They have a meeting experience similar to what you can see here, while they still continue the chat calling functionality in their Skype for Business hosted Skype for Business client. But everything with respect to collaboration and meeting can be bought into Microsoft Teams experience, so that at least you are moving them stage one while some of the dependencies are met. Okay, so this is what I was referring to. When you plan the meeting experience, you need to have a complete picture about the devices that are available in the personal workspace, the mobile workspace, the shared collaboration space. When we talk about shared collaboration space, it could be a huddle room, a small meeting room, or a large conference room. What are those devices that can be paired together and deployed in those spaces to lighten up the meeting experience? So this is something that is really important when you talk to your customers and when you are planning about the kind of experience that Teams brings in. If you're able to stitch through a solution for them for even the meeting spaces or the meeting areas that are there within the meeting spaces that they have within the organization, that is something the true value add that every customer is looking for. So just a quick introduction on what Microsoft Team Rooms is. Team Room is a device that goes into that is deployed in every meeting room, and what that does is generally when we talk about starting a meeting, it could be any meeting, the legacy ones that I'm referring to. You have to spend at least 15 minutes ahead of the meeting on how you connect your laptop, how you join the meeting, and so that it is available on the video conferencing device that is available in the meeting room. To have this successful meeting running in a meeting room, you really need to be ahead of time to start the meeting. So with Team Room system deployed in for the meeting experience, which is available in most of our OEMs, if you talk about Crestron, Logitech, Poly, all of those OEMs that are available, they have these qualified set of devices which goes well with Teams. And with just this is something that will sit in the meeting room. You just with one click you can join the meeting, and once you join the meeting, you can see that everything that has been shared, it is all available in the video conferencing system there, and even the video will be equally captured based on who is talking when, and those information is also included in the meeting space. So every user who is joining even from a remote location will feel included right within the meeting. And one other feature that I would like to call out here is customer obsession for how we have added features within the Team Room system. So Team Room system is not a new device or a new solution that has been deployed which goes well with the meeting experience. We had Skype for Business meeting rooms earlier, and now this has been upgraded to Teams as well. While it brings in all those features that we had in Skype for Business meeting room system, we have enhanced and added furthermore features into it. If I have to call out few, which is ad hoc meeting start, that is and proximity based bring your own device. Just to call that out, that particular feature, suppose if I am on road, I have joined my meeting from my mobile, I walk into my office, and as I walk in near any of the meeting rooms, it tells me that this meeting room is available. Would you like to transfer this meeting to this meeting room? So in that case, when you say it gives a nice little pop-up on the Microsoft Teams mobile client. When you click on add, it will add that meeting into the meeting room device, the Team Room system that is available in that meeting room, and you are able to instantly join that meeting, and it is so seamless that no one within the meeting can even sense that you have transferred from your mobile to a meeting room. It just happens with a click. So these are proximity based bring your own meeting feature as well. Even within Microsoft, if I have to call out, we have few meeting rooms like the focus rooms which cannot be booked. So while you book a meeting room or while you schedule a meeting, you can always book a meeting room, but there are few which cannot be booked. So that are enabled with these functionalities. That is when we walk through the hallway and there are some focus rooms which are available. It will ask us if I want to join this meeting in this focus room, and the devices are sensed. And when you click on add, you can just start your meeting in that focus room. So, and there are a lot more. There's also a content camera that is available. If you have a physical whiteboard, see, digital whiteboard maybe if a customer finds that having a digital whiteboard in every meeting room is a little expensive, and they want to leverage their existing physical whiteboard, you can easily have a content camera attached in that meeting room, which is it is not so expensive, and anybody and everybody who walks in front of the physical whiteboard while they are drawing or writing will turn invisible. So just to show that, let me bring up a video that I have. So that will call out all these features that I'm talking about. So this is what I was referring to, proximity-based meeting join. As I walk in front of that meeting room, if it is available for me, it will just tell me, do you want to add this room into the meeting? And when I click add, I can easily just walk into that meeting room, and I'll be able to see everything that is there on my mobile is now available in the video device in that meeting room. So this is what the nearby room proximity. How this works is there is a proximity beacon. If you just go and check in net, you'll be able to find out. So that is part of the room system in every room that will be that is deployed, and it's able to it's able to identify you when you're in front of that room, and it's able to even add that. So the proximity beaconing feature is what is being used for this feature. So let me bring up a video that would help you understand what, while we talk about all of this, we have a
utilize a physical whiteboard. The new content camera is able to intelligently find, crop, and zoom in to create a full screen experience. Participants continue to see right through them, and any progress is continuously captured to keep everyone engaged. Before, collaboration on the whiteboard was limited to people in the room, and information couldn't flow and remained trapped. Now, even when sharing your notes and brilliant ideas on a whiteboard, meetings can be an inclusive experience for every participant, no matter where they are. Work like you're all in one place with Microsoft Teams Rooms.
I hope the audio was heard this time, right? Okay. So the reason why I stress more on meetings today is because while you start working with your customers, your existing or new customer, and there is a dependency, or for some reason they're not able to move to Teams immediately, you can always go with meeting first option, which is Skype for Business with meeting mode, which will enable you to lighten up the meeting experience in Teams first, and then have other workloads migrated to Teams. While we have covered some of the features, touched upon the live event, live event functionality that is available in Teams, and how you can schedule a live event right within Teams. Here I would like to include a demo that was conducted, and this demo covers through on both the options that we have on how we can host a live event within Teams. With that, let me start off the demo.
Live Events is a capability across Yammer, Teams, and Stream. And it really uses the power of all three across Microsoft 365 to give you a connected experience and reach your audiences, local and worldwide, and have that real-time dialogue to really connect with people in your organization. They allow for leadership and other capabilities for like students and things to really create a connected experience, which creates an ongoing set of communications. It's not just about that event that's going on right then and there. It's really about the whole life cycle and the journey that connects everybody in your organization. So you have a live event, then you go and it creates continuous engagement with dialogue, then it goes into the next live event, and circular and circular. And it really creates a culture of trust within an organization.
So with that, we're going to get set up for the live event show that we're going to produce for you. It's going to be called Mark and Amit in the Morning. So we're going to go ahead and jump in and start showing you how we're going to set up and create a live event here live on stage. So I'm going to jump over here into Microsoft Stream for this event. We're going to actually just set it up in Stream. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to create a live event. I'm going to go ahead and hit Create Live Event. And I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste in some titles and some descriptions that I have here already for this event. Putting in the title and the description allows it to build this nice little card that shows up here for people before the event starts. I'm going to go ahead and give it a thumbnail so that it looks super awesome. And I'm going to mark it as starting as soon as right now, because we're going to run the event right now. I'm going to go ahead and hit Save, and I'm going to hit Start Setup. I'm going to now jump over and show you OBS. So this is the behind the scenes, how we're actually running this event. We're actually using OBS right now to not just run the live event, but to power all of the screens and everything that you're seeing right now. So we've already set up a bunch of things in here. We have several cameras that we've set up. So Amit has a camera over here that he's setting up, and another audience camera. We have a bunch of the video clips that you have, and this allows us to easily switch between all of those and show you what's going on. So if I switch back to here, Stream is ready, and you can see that if I just picked from this drop-down, I could easily one-click launch and start my encoder from there. But in this case, I'm using OBS, which is an open-source encoder, so I'm just going to grab the RTMP URL. I'm going to go over to Settings, and I'm going to go to Stream. I'm going to paste that in there, and the stream key doesn't matter for OBS, so I just put in a random string there. I'm going to hit Apply. Hit OK, and I'm going to start streaming. So what this is doing is it's going to send from my machine right here up to the internet into Microsoft Stream, into live events. In a second, it will actually start showing what is coming through. It looks like it's green over here, so let's give it a couple of seconds. So there it goes. So it's reloading now. So this is a preview of what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Start Event so we can actually start the live event here. And then I'm going to go ahead and here, and we obviously have to have a starting soon loop here. So hang in there. We'll be starting soon. Just 1 second. Sound on this too.
In the morning.
We'll redo that
Afternoon edition.
All right, let's play that again since we messed that up. Here we go.
Mark and Amit in the morning. Afternoon edition.
All right, so we're coming to you live from Microsoft Ignite here at our session.
Woo!
So I'm Mark Meraz. I'm a program manager on Microsoft Stream.
And I'm Amit Rajput, also a program manager on Microsoft Stream.
It's so awesome to be here live with you at this session. Why don't we take a little bit at the audience cam? Why don't you switch to the audience
the
cam?
audience here is awesome, right? We have the best audience in the house, right? Let's hear that.
Woo! All right, let's do the wave. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah! Woo! All right. So we're so excited to be here with you today. We're going to show you a bunch of cool stuff about live events. So Amit, do you want to kick it off and show us a little bit about the different kinds of ways you can produce a live event?
Totally. So in Microsoft 365 live events, we've got 2 production experiences that are the main types of way of producing your live event. The first is using Teams for an out-of-the-box experience to connect your live events very easily. The second is using an external app or device to connect via RTMP feed, which is more like studio-grade production or for more advanced layouts, similar to how we're running this show today. So let's take a quick look at the Microsoft Teams producing experience. It gives you a simple UI that allows you to queue up what you're looking for in terms of sharing your webcam, sharing your desktop, any other connected devices. You can even remote presenters in to have a conversation, similarly to how you have a Teams meeting. And for any of you who are live events users, you may know that it used to be difficult to run a Teams-produced event and watch it in Yammer. Well, coming soon, we're actually showing you a great preview of the ability to schedule inside of Yammer, produce in Teams, and watch in Yammer, allowing you to have those connected conversations and that continuous engagement inside of those Yammer communities. So why don't we show a demo of that? So here I am inside of Yammer. I'm going to go to one of my favorite projects that I work on, Project Bright. And I'm the administrator of this group, so I'm going to go ahead and say, create live event. When I do that, it's going to check out some of my policies, and it's going to give me two options to produce this event. The first is the one that you know and love, external app and device. And secondly is now produce with Microsoft Teams. And this is all going to happen in inline scheduling inside of Yammer. So this time I'm going to click Microsoft Teams, click Next, and it gives me a scheduling experience right here. So here I can add a title, Ignite 2019. I can say when I want this to start. So let's say, for example, we want this to start at 3:30. We'll go to 4. I can add a description. So this is an awesome show. Woo. If I wanted to, I could also add different producers and presenters. So here I am. I'm going to go ahead and schedule this. And what this is going to do is it's going to create an entity inside of both Microsoft Teams and Stream to really connect those, the experience across all three, across Microsoft 365. So now that I've got this all created, I have this button here that says Produce, which is going to actually launch Teams. So here we go. We're going to open up this experience. I've got my Teams. And similarly to how you would join a Teams meeting, this is exactly what you're going to see. So I've got my camera connected. I'm going to click Join Now. And it's going to join me in the meeting. All right. And this gives me my production-based experience right here. So a couple of things that I can do here is I can create different layouts. So I'm going to select a multi-windowed, multi-shifted layout. I'm going to share one of my screens that I have here. Let's just open this guy up here. All right. Perfect. So here I'm going to add content. I'm going to add my face because why not? Now we have a great production experience with a simple layout. And this gives me a preview of what I'm going to send. Now, I haven't quite gone live yet, as it's telling me I'm pre-live. So I'm going to send this over to what the audience members will see when everything is all connected. Looks like everything is in a good position here. If I want to make sure I go ahead and I check how my network and stuff is doing, I'm actually going to click this button. It tells me how everything is connected, just to make sure I've got enough bandwidth and everything going on. So we'll pull that aside. And now we're ready to start our event. We go ahead and we click Start. It's going to say, I'm going to say Continue. And now while this starts, it's actually in the background sending those fragments through to Microsoft Stream, and we're going to be able to watch directly inside of Yammer, which is super cool because, as I mentioned before, we get to have those continuous engaged conversations through Yammer. So let's go ahead into Yammer. This is going to start to load. Awesome. And now we see the feed coming through, and you can watch inside of Yammer. Not only that, you can actually ask questions and have things coming through. So let's ask, what is your favorite color? I'm going to post this. And as the producer of the event, inside of Microsoft Teams, as I'm producing it, I can also see that same connected conversations as this is going to load the same Yammer conversation on the side. So you see that right here, what is your favorite color? And that really connects the entire experience to give you a simple production experience, viewing inside of Yammer, all powered by Stream under the covers. All right, Mark, back to you.
That was super awesome. I think that deserves some confetti.
I think so too.
Woo! All right. So let's move on to the next thing. The second way that you can produce that Amit talked about is with an external encoder or an app or device. And basically an encoder is a way to mix down all of the video signals that you have, make them into one video signal and send that out to us in the cloud. And encoders can be hardware, they can be software, they could even be mobile apps directly. Stream, Teams, and Yammer support with this type of production, RTMP ingest. So we have a bunch of compatible encoders over there that are listed on the right that we've kind of worked with those teams. But if you're not using one of those encoders, that's okay. The settings are on the left that show you if you want to manually configure it yourself. Haivision has some super awesome hardware-based encoders. They also have a new SRT hub service that allows you to be able to send SRT directly into Yammer, Teams, and Stream so that you don't have to necessarily use RTMP ingest. And then Telestream also has a maker of Wirecast, and they also have some hardware encoders as well. And they also make a special version of Wirecast called Wirecast S that allows you to have a special version of Wirecast just for Stream that has some pre-built layouts to get you started easily, quickly, and then you can customize from there.
And inside of our Stream experience, you can go ahead and click from the drop-down list, and they actually allow you for one-click start with a lot of these partners that we have.
Cool. Now it's time for a commercial break, so we'll be right back after this commercial.
Are you tired of using too much internet bandwidth for your live events? Do you want better analytics to know what's going on in your network? Well, then we have a solution for you. Microsoft Live Events and Stream use Unicast adaptive bitrate streaming, which can be bandwidth intensive. You can configure your existing web cache proxy for video traffic, but in many cases, an ECDN can provide you with more control, monitoring, and analytics on your events. Live Events and Stream can easily be integrated with
Today, I'm going to speak about Microsoft Teams Rooms, and we'll be focusing on different features of Teams Rooms, and I will also try to do a demo in the end so that you get some can really enable any organization to transform their entire meeting experience. So before I start speaking about Teams Rooms, I think it's important for us to just have a look at this slide and see what these numbers are telling us. So we all know that modern workforce has been ever changing, and it has drastically changed over the last few years. And the workplace is becoming more and more team-based and more mobile than ever. The statistics that you see here are taken from multiple sources of research, and I think it's a good idea to just go through these numbers once. So 80% of employee time is spent collaborating, which is twice as many teams as 5 years ago. And 72% of, so if you look at this statistic, this specifically can't be this, there can't be a better time to really speak about this and discuss this, right? Because today we are sitting in 2020 and it's not 72% who are working remotely, it's 100% of people today who are working remotely. And that's why, although we were not really prepared for 100% of people working remotely, but this number has only increased in the past, and it is only going to increase. 56% of meetings have at least one remote attendee. 15% of meeting rooms are equipped. Now this is an interesting point. While we see these four numbers, right, we're seeing how the the whole culture of people working remotely or people working from different locations are collaborating, and how these numbers have been increasing. But if you look at this number, right, only 15% of meeting rooms are equipped for video, even as video becomes the norm, which is a very small number if you really think about it. So the intent of these devices is to give you a smarter and faster way to really connect and collaborate with your devices. But these devices are purpose-built, which means these devices are optimized for your spaces and work styles. So I will just take you to the website in a while, but if you go there, you'll be able to see as to what kind of devices make sense for what kind of a setting or what kind of a space. And obviously, these devices are certified, and they have a high quality video and audio feature, and they definitely are equipped with enterprise grade security. And so I think that plays a very key role in really giving you the confidence to start using these devices as a part of your everyday meeting schedules. So as you can see here, right, these devices that Microsoft devices that I'm speaking about are certified by Microsoft with some of our partners. And we have a broad range of third-party devices that support enhanced calling and meeting experience on Teams. And to learn more about Teams devices portfolio and find what are the recommended devices for your workspace, this is the website to go visit. And let me just quickly take you to the website so that you understand what I'm saying, right? So you just go ahead and check this website out, and here, if you'll see, you can view by devices and by spaces depending on what is the kind of workspace that you're really looking for. So for example, if I do view by device, and before that, let me just show you a list of partners that I was talking about. So here you can see these partners list has only been increasing, and there's a wide range of devices that these guys are producing, which are completely compliant and works seamlessly with the Microsoft Teams rules. So if you view by devices, you can go ahead and check what kind of devices would be compliant and what kind of devices, sorry, not compliant, what kind of devices would make sense for your setting. And if you want to go ahead and see it by workspace, so you'll find devices from big public events to a small huddle space. So depending on the kind of space that we're really looking for, you should definitely check this out, and this gives you a very good idea of what is it that you really need to get your job done. Now, moving on to the next slide. So like I said, you can choose from a comprehensive range of Teams enabled devices, and these are designed and engineered to meet the needs of the modern workforce, and they are created with the security and quality you expect from Microsoft. So you need not worry about the security aspect of it. And one more point that I just want to mention here is that these are built on foundation of our Graph, Microsoft Graph, Microsoft AI, and Cortana. So the fact that it's built on foundation of these technologies, it is sort of like an assurance that it brings intelligent communication to every call and meeting. Now, moving on to Microsoft Teams Rooms. So I think it's needless for me to say how today's data-driven economy does require a modern workplace where all employees and teams can work from anywhere. That has become the necessity of every business that you can probably think of, right? So moving forward, what we've seen and what we will see is that it doesn't really matter if you are an executive or an engineer, or any workforce for that matter, the chances are that you do spend a lot of your day collaborating with others in meetings. So whether you like it or not, meetings are a necessity for any business that you can probably think of. But in a modern workplace where so many of us work remotely, it becomes important to address this question of how do you come together and get things done when your workforce is distributed across multiple locations, right? And this is where Microsoft Teams Rooms is really the answer for this question. So every information that you'll see about Teams Rooms, or every new announcement that you'll probably see about Teams Rooms, will have this one point or this one quality at the core, and that is the whole intention, right, of getting a team room ready for everybody sitting across the globe to be able to really feel inclusive and really be able to participate in the meeting as if that person was sitting in the room. And that's why I'm saying inclusivity is the heart of Teams Rooms as an experience. And as you can see here, a couple of points. It's pretty easy. Once you get the whole system in place, you can just start meeting with literally just one click of a button. You don't really need to configure 100 things before a meeting anymore. And so you can configure it for any space, which means if you want to set up a meeting experience for a small huddle or a focus room to a very big event in an auditorium or a big conference room, Teams Rooms will have the kind of configurations for all kinds of settings. And obviously it's ready to deploy and manage at whatever scale your business would require. So that's possible by bringing the Teams meeting experience to every meeting of yours, whether it be an internal meeting where you will have everybody join in person, or whether you have some people joining the meeting virtually. So and that's possible by really and I just want to cover these 4 pillars of really bringing Teams experience to a meeting place. So it empowers you by transforming your meeting room with Teams. And what this means is it enables you to be able to just join with one touch. Like I said, you can make a phone call if required in the middle of a meeting. You can also share with remote participants very easily and very seamlessly, and we'll see this in a while when I do the demo. But this essentially gives you one center of the whole room control. Now it helps you in making any space a Teams meeting place by enabling you to connect with anyone anywhere using any device, and by giving you a dedicated Teams meeting app, and also being able to scale to all room sizes depending on the requirement. So it's easy to deploy and simple to manage. It's basically a universal app which is managed through existing tools. So the training effort is going to be really low once you start using it. And you can connect with hardware and software, which means you can start using this on your familiar Microsoft Teams app, which is built for Windows. You don't really have to go out of the way to get some configurations done. And it seamlessly connects with displays and projectors and cameras and speakers, or whatever investment you've already made for a team meeting room. And it also gives you the option of adding an HD audio or video experience to your meeting rooms. So Microsoft Teams is built on foundation of Microsoft Graph, like I said, and it has deep integrations with artificial intelligence. And what that means is when we start using Microsoft Teams in a room for a meeting, it brings in a lot of AI capabilities into the room that that enables us in a lot of ways to bring in new experiences before, during, and after every meeting and call. And so there are a couple of features listed here, and we'll speak about these in a little more detail. But these are possible because of intelligence being integrated with MS Teams. Now, let's talk about proximity-based meeting join. Now, we have something called proximity detection, which was rolled out last year as a feature. And what this does is it makes it really easy to discover and add any nearby available Microsoft Teams room to your meetings. Now, this means meetings have become really easy to schedule. You simply have to use your Microsoft Outlook or Teams to invite your conference room to a meeting just as easily as inviting your colleague. And that's the beauty, right, of how seamlessly you can start searching a nearby room and just taking your meeting to that room. Now, just to give you a sense of how it's working out and how Microsoft Teams is adding a nearby room, is what happens is when a Teams app on a PC or a mobile device is close to an available Teams room. So there is something called proximity sensor in the Teams app, which detects the Microsoft Teams rooms in any meeting room, and then it can go ahead and add this Teams room to the meeting as a participant. So so that's how easy it is on your PC or your mobile device to add a meeting room. And so what happens next is inside the meeting room, your console will show you that you're trying to add the room, and a user will have to accept the incoming invitation on the console to bring room system into the meeting. So it's almost like you letting a guest user come into your meeting. And so what happens next is your PC or mobile app will automatically go into content only mode, allowing the room to provide audio and video into the meeting without echo and feedback generated by other clients in the room. And also, if the Microsoft Teams room is already in the meeting and you want to join from your devices as well, Teams can now detect this and recommends to join the meeting with audio off as well. Just to make sure that there is no unnecessary echo whenever somebody is joining in or leaving a meeting. Now, moving on to the next point. So anyone who's ever used a traditional whiteboard, and I'm sure most of you would have, in a meeting room, they would know how much of a great tool for collaboration a whiteboard is. And it is great and it's amazing, but it only as long as people are in the conference room. Remote attendees often couldn't see what was being drawn on the board in real time, and whatever drawings were made on the traditional whiteboard stayed in the conference room unless somebody took a photo of it and shared it with remote attendees. And this has been a huge problem for a very long time, and this is what we've seen in most of our meeting experiences, right? So in order to really address this problem, Teams has recently rolled out a feature called digital whiteboard. Now, what that means is you just have to add a touch or ink display to your meeting room, and that will start sharing a whiteboard in any Teams meeting, and that can be so what that means is that a whiteboard will be accessible on any device which is being used by any participant of the meeting. So we also have something called content cameras, and what makes the Microsoft Teams Rooms content camera feature so useful for any business is that it instantly turns any whiteboard or paper based writing pad into a real-time online collaboration space in the cloud for remote attendees. It's a great way for you to just instantly think of it as instantly you can turn any writing space into a digital collaboration space online. All you do is you point a compatible webcam at the writing space in your conference room, and the Microsoft Teams Rooms app does the rest. It's automatic. So it uses some artificial intelligence behind the scenes, and the content camera feature can then intelligently detect, crop, frame, and adjust the in-room whiteboard or any writing space, and then it can go ahead and share that content with all remote meeting participants. So what you have to do is you have to turn on the content camera feature at the starting of the meeting, and after that it's pretty much all automatic. Now when the remote attendees see the whiteboard during the online meeting, no matter where they are, it makes them feel like they are in the room, right? Again. So there's something called content cameras as a feature, and you can add that to any Microsoft Teams room. And what makes this content camera feature so useful for any business is that it instantly turns any whiteboard or let's say a paper-based writing pad. Just think of any physical writing space that you have in a room. It turns that into a real-time online collaboration space in the cloud for remote attendees. All you have to do is point a compatible webcam at the whiteboard in your conference room, and the Teams Rooms app does the rest on its own. So what's happening behind the scenes is actually it's using AI to intelligently detect and then detect, adjust, crop, or frame the in-room whiteboard basis the requirement, and then share that content with all remote meeting participants. So all you have to do is turn on the content camera feature at the start of a meeting, and after that it's pretty much all automatic. Well, yeah, so now think of it, right? When remote attendees see the whiteboard during the online meeting, no matter where they are, it makes them feel like they are in the room. And the AI part is an important part of what makes the feature so useful. So for example, and I'll just show you a small video. So for example, even when a presenter moves in front of the whiteboard, the content camera, the content capture, and the AI behind it makes the presenter transparent to the remote participants in Teams room, and everyone attending the meeting on a PC, Mac, mobile device magically sees right through the person in the conference room as they write on the board. And that's why it's also called Magic Whiteboard. And let me just show you the video. I think you'll get a good idea of what I'm saying. So yeah. So as you can see, right, somebody is coming and writing on the board, and what you see here is the version of what an online attendant of a meeting will be able to see. And this is a great way for making sure that all attendees of a meeting do feel inclusive and it helps us, get over the problems of people coming in front of the whiteboard and then having to take pictures and then sharing pictures and then losing the momentum. So so the first time you will actually see this feature in action, it'll actually make you believe in the value of having a dedicated content camera in your conference room. So in this small demo that we're going to do, you'll see how to transform your meetings with Microsoft Teams rooms. So like I've been saying, right, Microsoft Teams rooms essentially helps you get the most out of your online meetings by making it easy to connect using one-touch join and instantly share content whether you're in the room or on the go and enjoy rich audio and video experiences. Now the solution that we're going to see today, the scenario is this. The solution consists of an elegant center of room touchscreen console that can connect to an input device such as a laptop or a mobile device and integrate with existing conference room displays, be it a projector, a camera, a microphone, or a speaker. And so the console runs Windows 10 and it's manufactured by one of the Microsoft partners. So like you can see here, this is a sample device that somebody is using in the meeting, which is getting projected on the screen. Now, as you can see here, there's a set of scenarios given here, which we will be seeing in a while. And these are the main scenarios where you'll see Teams rooms come really handy. And let's just go ahead and explore each scenario one by one. So to join a meeting, let's see how you can instantly connect to a scheduled meeting. So Teams rooms allows you to connect to both Microsoft Teams as well as Skype for business meetings with one-touch join. You just have to simply choose your scheduled meeting from the console display that you see here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this to be able to join into this meeting. And you'll see that as others join into this meeting, their names will start appearing in this participant list. So you see people joining in, and as they join in, they can, as long as they're not muted, they can start contributing into the meeting. Now in room display, those in attendance and who've joined the meeting can get a real-time view of everyone who joined the meeting with active video streams, depending on how many people want to keep their video on, right? So and one more point is to add here is, even if your meeting doesn't have a Teams rooms meeting room that is assigned to it, you can easily grab one using your laptop or mobile device with the help of proximity-based meeting join that we just spoke about a couple of minutes back. Now, when the Teams app on your device detects a Teams-enabled meeting room nearby, you'll be presented with an option to add the room when you join in. So you will just have to go ahead and click and join this room. Now Teams connects to the meeting with audio muted, like we discussed, on your device. Now this essentially helps in avoiding an echo and the device remains ready to present to be in a presentation form. Now like you can see here, as soon as I log in, my mic and speaker is going to be muted, and Teams connects to the meeting with audio muted, not just for me, but for everybody who's joining the call. Now, one more important point that I also mentioned is, from Teams room console that you see here, right? You can even call into a PSTN conference bridge using a traditional dial pad. So all you have to do is go ahead and click on this and then simply enter the conference call number just as you would type on a regular phone. So all I have to do is go ahead and type this number, and I should be able to pull this person into the meeting. Now this can come really handy in an ad hoc scenario when you want somebody to join into a meeting without really them having an invitation to participate in the meeting. So the next thing you are going to do is go ahead and call them as you would in a usual scenario, and that's it. You can see them as a participant added here. Now you can also share content by wirelessly connecting your laptop to the meeting room with proximity-based meeting join. And Teams Room is smart enough to recommend that you join without audio to avoid an echo that you can see here. So once you're joined into the meeting, click or tap the share button and select the content that you want to share. So I will just go ahead and share my screen. So once I clicked on this, and then I am getting this option to choose from what is the screen that I want to share. So let's say I just want to make it to a point that I'm only sharing this PowerPoint slide that I've opened. So I will just go ahead and click on this, and then you can see that everyone in the meeting room or everyone who's a part of the meeting can now see what you're sharing. While you're in a meeting room, you can also share content from your phone by joining it to the meeting as a companion device. So what you would go ahead and do is you join it with your phone, and then right from within the Teams app, you can select content to share. So you just click on these three dots that you see here, and now if you want to share a presentation or a photo basis that, you can just go ahead and go ahead and just follow these instructions. So the file that you share may be stored in your Teams and channels, or it might even be saved on your OneDrive. So you can just go ahead and check your OneDrive, and in this case, let's share a PowerPoint presentation from my OneDrive to those who are in attendance. So let's say this is the report which is uploaded on my OneDrive, and I want to go ahead and share it with my audience. So as you can see here, the presentation is getting displayed, and now what I can do is I can go ahead and navigate and start using this PowerPoint slide as a part of the meeting document. Now let's say I want to stop presenting, and what I can also do is I can also share live video. So if remote participants want to see what I am seeing, then I can just go ahead and click on share video, and then I'm just going to go ahead and start presenting. Now what you'll see here is something I am checking live, and I'm streaming live from my phone. So this comes really handy in case a participant wants to share a live video. And you can even broadcast your phone's entire screen to the audience in case you don't want to just project a document and you want to give, for example, a demo of something that you're showing on your phone. So what the way to go about it is you share your screen, and then note that everything on your screen, including notifications, will be broadcasted. So once I click on start broadcast, it's going to, so it's giving me a notification and a warning of how everything's going to be broadcasted. And this is pretty similar to how, for example, sharing your entire desktop on a laptop works. So let's say, so out of this these apps, whatever content that I want to share, let's say I want to go ahead and share a Power BI report. So I just clicked on that application, and then I can start sharing this report with the audience. Microsoft Teams Rooms includes a new feature that lets you include a traditional whiteboard in your meetings, and that's the whiteboard feature that we were speaking about. So the way to do that is when you click on the share button, right, when you want to share your screen also, you go ahead and click on content camera, and now, for example, this is a video that I was trying to show you in the PowerPoint presentation also. By connecting a specially designed content camera and making use of AI, Teams Rooms detects the in-room whiteboard and shares its content with remote participants even when a presenter moves in front of it. And this is what we saw as a part of the PowerPoint slide also. So let me just move forward with it. You can also include a digital whiteboard in your Teams meetings by using Microsoft Whiteboard from Teams app on your desktop or laptop device. Now let's take a look how that works out. So when you click on share, so are the options that you see here, right? When you would want to share your desktop or a PowerPoint slide, you also get an option to share a whiteboard. So you will just go ahead and click on this, and then you'll be able to use this whiteboard to draw, sketch, and write on a shared digital canvas during your meetings. So now you can just see here how this whiteboard looks, and you can do freehand drawing, writing, taking down notes. It's almost like an actual whiteboard that everybody in the meeting can start using. All right, so moving on to the next scenario is we can talk about managing a team. Teams Rooms makes it really easy to manage meetings right from in-room console, and you can easily add participants at any time by searching in the directory. So you just have to go ahead and click on add participants, and here I can just start typing somebody's name who I want to add to the meeting, and then I just go ahead and invite that person. So now, for example, you can see she's getting a call, and once she joins in, so now as you can see, it's not muted, so now she can start speaking and contributing to this meeting. PSTN calling is also available, like I mentioned. So if you want to, for example, add another participant by dialing their phone number, you can go ahead and do that also. So let's say here I want to go ahead and just type in a phone number. So I will do that, and then I'll go ahead and invite this person from this phone number. So this also works exactly the same way as adding somebody from your directory. And this lobby feature can be used to start adding or removing people from the meeting altogether. So I can just go ahead and accept Christine to join this meeting, and then he will be able to start contributing into the call. So in a scenario where, for example, I only want one person's video to be displayed, I can go ahead and select and then just pin her videos to be displayed on the screen. I can in fact go ahead and start muting people if there's too many people in the meeting and I don't want everybody speaking at the same time. Then I can just go ahead and mute a participant. I can in fact go ahead and delete a person from the meeting altogether too. For example, here if I click on remove participant, I can remove this person from the meeting altogether. Now you can also adjust the layout of your in-room display. Now the way to go about doing that is from the in-room console. You just have to tap the layout button to toggle between a layout that includes shared content and meeting participants side by side, or one that shows shared content only. So I can just click on this, and then the participants' faces are gone, and I just have the shared content displaying here. So Teams Rooms also works with dual screen in-room displays. If that's what you would want your meeting room setup to be. So what you have to do is you can use Teams Rooms console again to switch what's shown on each display. So you just go ahead and click on this, and as you can see here, it's swapped onto the two screens. Moving on, let's see our last scenario now. So to schedule a meeting, and I mentioned this in the beginning also, right? It's really easy to schedule new Teams meetings. First, let me just show you how you can easily schedule a Teams meeting from your Outlook calendar. So this is my calendar on my Outlook, and I just go ahead and click on a new Teams meeting directly, and it shows up this meeting console. So next, what I would do is enter a meeting title. So let's say this is the title I want to go ahead with. I can add participants of the meeting, and then I can go ahead and pick timings, and then I will use the room finder to select a conference room for hosting the meeting. So I will click on this, and there is a drop down list, as you can see here. So I will choose a room list from the drop down menu. So let's say I want to go ahead with building 1 rooms, and yeah, now it's loaded. So now I will just select one of the available rooms. Let's say I want to go ahead with this room, and yes, I want to update this location into the meeting. Now I can just go ahead and send this meeting invite. The meeting now appears on your calendar. As you can see here, this is the new meeting invite that I've just sent out. So it's literally as easy as, you know, just clicking on this button and then filling up details to add a new Teams meeting. You can also simply create a new meeting and then convert it into a Teams meeting later. So let's just see how we can do that. So you click on So let's just see how you can do that as well. So I will click on new meeting, and once I am into the meeting invitation, I can select Teams meeting, and this would just, for example, you can see here, it would just add a Teams meeting link to this meeting invitation. So now let's see how you can schedule a meeting right from within Microsoft Teams. So what you have to do is in Teams, as one of the icons that you see here, I have clicked on calendar. I'm on my calendar, and here, like you can see here, I can just go ahead and add a new meeting. So first I would have to enter a title for the meeting. So I would just go here and start adding a title, and then I can choose a location for my meeting. Let's say I want to go ahead with this location. Now let's say I want to invite some people to attend. So let me just go ahead and start adding people. Yeah, I'm done adding people. Now, based on availability of those invited, the people that I just added, Microsoft Teams suggests a few meeting times that would work for all the participants. So let's choose one of these times and then schedule the meeting. So let's say I want to go ahead with this slot, and then I can just hit schedule and then close it. Yeah. So you can see that the meeting was successfully added, and this again got added to my calendar here. You can, while you can add new meetings and schedule them with other participants. You can also join a scheduled meeting with your laptop or mobile device using proximity-based meeting join. So let me just show you how this works. You click on meeting now, and when the Teams app on your device detects a Teams enabled meeting room nearby, you'll be invited to join the meeting and add the room. So let's say I found this room and I will just add it. Now, if the audio is already on in the room, Teams connects to the meeting with audio muted on your device to avoid an echo.
Hello everyone, I'm Pallavi Lokesh, Modern Workplace Collaboration Architect. Thank you for joining us in Protect Day webinar series. Today we would like to cover networking best practices for Office 365 services while we focus more on Teams requirement. As a part of the agenda, we would also include a demo for Network Onboarding Tool, which is a new tool that has been released, and network performance options that we would soon have within our admin center. SaaS and the networking trends that we see in this era. So what we see is there has been a complete disruption on the way the network model is. Currently, how the enterprise used to connect and how the enterprise has the network topology in place, and how a cloud-based service would look for, right? The kind of solution that we look for supporting a SaaS service. I don't know why it's getting disconnected every time. Okay, so even for most of the major cloud-based solutions that we have, you see that the current trend is as short as possible, right? Earlier, when you have to reach a SaaS service, you had to hop through a multiple ISPs and then reach the service that is being offered. But now the trend has completely changed. You will see that any cloud-based service that we have, the hop is quite short, right? It would be just one ISP that you have to, it is just a one hop away for the services that you would have subscribed in cloud, which is Office 365 or any other services that we're talking about. So now when you have to we also see that there is a trend in enterprise, in every enterprise customer, that in most of the enterprise customer, this is a new terminology that has been used, which is zero trust. That is, any application that is there, it has to earn trust. It is not given. Trust is, I mean, you don't trust the application or a service at first go. It has to earn that trust, and that is what we are seeing in most of the organization. And everything that they had earlier, it used to be in the network perimeter that they used to invest a lot to have those security, for all the security concerns that they had for accessing those cloud-based services. There used to be a huge investment in the network perimeter solutions that they have, but now it is moving more and more onto the identity level, the device level, the data level, and at the service level. So all the security that has been provided for any cloud-based services, it is more on the identity, device, data, and the service level. So these are the trends that we are talking about, which is changing as the SaaS service is taking over, and what is the networking changes that is happening at the enterprise level, and which is expected to happen. So even the network solutions that are offered, the applications and solutions that are offered, it is moving from the network perimeter or the network device level to the application level itself. It is more closer to the user now. So the kind of applications that they use, the kind of services that they're using, the applications that they are trying to access from the device. So it is more at the device and the application level, the solutions and the network solutions and the security solutions are rolled out. So this is not just for our organization, but in any SaaS model that we see that security and network solutions are more closer to the user, right? And last but not the least, which is the networking and security are moving to cloud. You don't see a lot of investment that is done at the device level in the network perimeter that we were talking about. It is more on the cloud-based solutions that are offered. So when we say that it is a cloud-based service, it may also be simple as well as it may also turn to be a very complex solution. Because if you are opting for multiple SaaS services, then your solution, you may have a security solution from a different SaaS service. You may have some productivity from a different SaaS service. So that may be a little complex as well. But this is the trend that we see in the SaaS and the networking trends that are happening as we move on to cloud. So enterprise SaaS connectivity challenges that we currently have is when we talk about the consumer based, there's not much because they just connect directly to the ISP, and there's not much of a challenge that we see in a consumer based solutions, right? And for even SMB. But when we talk about an enterprise, there is a huge investment that has already been done at the network layer, network solutions. It could be DLP, we have proxies, we have routing, we have NAT, and there are a lot of investment that has been done at the network security component level, and that is not very simple when you have to connect to a cloud-based services. So this is one challenge that we see in an enterprise, and the other challenge that we see in an enterprise is the network topology itself, right? So it is not direct; it is the indirect connections that we do, because of which the connection suffers. That is, it could be a media traffic or a signaling. That is, the quality of the service suffers because it is not a direct connection that goes to cloud. So that is what you can see. Even if it is a VPN, it connects back, it hairpins back from the corporate network, right? And every enterprise network would probably have many branch sites which all connects to a central site and then connects from that particular, then it will egress from that particular central site. So what we have to address here is we have to make it more simple and direct. So that is what we are working towards. So now slow is a new broken when we say that latency can be added at many different points here. So as you can see here in this architecture, you can see that we have enterprise, which is the last mile. Middle mile is where the ISP fits in, right? Whichever the ISP provider that you are using. And the first mile is where once the traffic is handed over to Microsoft Global Network, the route it takes to reach the service or the data where it resides, that is referred to as first mile. And there is a lot of investment that has been done from Microsoft engineering side and in all ways to improvise on the Microsoft Global Network. Okay, and when we talk about the enterprise last mile and the middle mile, here is where enterprise last mile is where you and the middle mile is where we need your support to talk to your customer and to fine tune that particular section of the network. So if we talk about the first mile WAN, the first thing that we were talking about is to have a direct egress to internet, right? In most of the cases, we see that there is no direct egress, and WAN is the first point where you need to focus on. The next comes how we have the network setup, that is the edge, which connects to the ISP, and we will have to make sure that those network devices and solutions that we have in place should be able to recognize the Office 365 network and exclude those network from furthermore encryptions and any kind of an inspection that goes on. Even the proxies that are there, that should exclude the Office 365 traffic towards cloud. So ISP is where you will have to really work and make sure that there is a proper peering that is already available with the subscribed ISP, and that is so. If you see, the middle mile and the last mile is where we would require your support on to fine tune this and to enrich the customer experience for a cloud service like Office 365. And we also we will also have to make sure that there is no backhauling that happens, and any intermediary processing overhead like the one that I mentioned, which is the proxy or any firewall. So all those and I'll come to that point as well, where you might have, if you have already configured, you know that there's a lot of changes that needs to be done at the firewall. You need to have those ports open, right? So even in those set of URLs and ports that needs to be open for connecting to Office 365, we have segregated into optimized set and default set, and there's another set that is there, and I will cover that in the next slide, where you will have a clear indication of these are the set of URLs which has to be opened, and that will clearly impact on the performance. So these are, like, for example, Teams, all that comes under the optimized set of URLs, and that anyway I'll come. So from this slide, it is very clear that there is a lot of investment that has been done in the Microsoft Global Network, and to have or even to utilize that improvements and the performance addition that we are doing in this particular network, you need to have the last mile and the first mile, the last mile and the middle mile fixed. So this is about Office 365 location everywhere, right? So what are those components that are there right within Microsoft Global Network, which enables a user to have as short as possible once it connects to the Microsoft Global Network. So we have this network POP, which is handed over to Microsoft Global Network. It immediately connects to the service front door based on, we have an Office 365 service front door as well. I'm sure you would have heard about Azure front doors, but this is about the Office 365 service front doors that are there. We have around 160 plus network edge sites that are available, 200 plus peering locations that are available, and 4,000 plus networks, right, for just for the network POP presence, right? And when we talk about the Office 365 front doors that we are referring to, we have around 100 plus Office 365 front door location, and this is something that will like, for example, I will cover that in the next slide. If there is a user who is, if there are a large number of users connecting from a network POP, point of presence, as it is handed over to Office 365 Global Network, if it is connecting here, then if there is a service front door little ahead, like if it has to travel a region ahead, if it sees that there's a lot of traffic that is coming from this location, there will be a service front door automatically added in that location to make sure that there is a furthermore reduction in the delay that happens, the latency that happens for a traffic to move from once it reaches the Microsoft Global Network. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. So this is what we were talking about. Like for any Office 365 endpoints, right? To connect to Office 365, like any user to connect to Office 365 services, there are some of the FQDNs, IPs, ports, and protocols that needs to be opened. So earlier we had a list of all these IP addresses and FQDNs and ports that used to be, and it used to constantly change as well. So now we have a REST API, Office 365 REST API. Using that, it can be automated so that you don't have to always go and change those. Yeah, update that. You can easily automate it. Along with that, we also have those IP addresses and ports and protocols that we have, categorized it as optimize, allow, and default. Okay, so optimize is where most of our teams, all those services which are performance based, like if those ports are not opened, or those IP addresses are not, IP address range is not allowed, then it would really impact the performance itself. So those are put under, added as optimize. So when you talk to your customers, if there is a lot of, if you really want to have the first set of IP addresses and ports that needs to be added, then you can only target for the optimized set of IP addresses and ports. Okay, so that would actually cover the most important services that are there, and which are performance based services which will be impacted. Like you can see, there's a greater impact on the performance itself. So these falls under the optimized set of IP addresses and FQDNs that are there. Allowed is more on a trusted network destination. In this you get all the Active Directory IP addresses and ports that are required for AD Connect, Azure AD Connect. All those comes under allowed list. So default is default the network, like these are some of the additional IP addresses that you might require for other services that you are subscribing for. But when you start working with your customers, you can now have a optimized, you can focus on the optimized set of FQDNs and IP addresses that needs to be opened. And Teams falls under optimize. So so far this is clear, right? For egress network connection to optimize the connection. For team specific, now it is furthermore simplified. As I mentioned in the previous slide, it comes under the optimized set, right? And you just have 2 subnets that needs to be opened, and you just have to allow 4 UDP ports that needs to be allowed. Okay, and the range contains all the transport relay and the media processor that needs to be allowed for Teams. So what you can see here in this slide is all you need for Teams media processing. So this is just a case study for you to understand when we say that there's a lot of changes that needs to be done at the customer network topology. Why we say that, and what is that we are bringing in changes in the Microsoft Global Network itself to optimize those connections, and to leverage that without any further changes that is required. You need to have the last mile and the middle mile set, and first mile is something that is automatically taken care of, and also based on the trends and the way users are connecting in that particular region, it will be optimized. Okay, and how that is done is something that is covered here. Local and direct internet egress is something that is very important. That is, if you have a central site and you have multiple branch site, like for example, even in Europe, right? The entire Europe would probably connect to one central site and it egresses. And that is what we generally see in every organization. But that is not the optimal way of connecting. And that is what we are covering here. So if we talk about considering, this is considered as an Exchange Online, the same applies for Teams as well. Now suppose a branch office user wants to connect to Office 365. You can see in the traditional way of connecting, the branch office user connects to data center, right, across the WAN, and then he egresses over the central egress point that is there for internet, connects through the ISP that is available at that particular site, and then he would connect to the network POP that we were referring to in the previous slide, connects there, and he finds a service front door which is near to that network point, right? And then the data where the data resides. So if you see the latency that is noted onto the right side there, it talks about 65 milliseconds, right? So now the same thing, if you have it locally, actually if you see, there is a local POP point, okay, and then it has a service front door as well, but it is not connecting there. It is rather connecting across the WAN to the central side and then connecting to whatever is near to that. So this is what has been covered, right, where we know that there is a lot of delay. So now when we take a direct connection, that is, it connects rather than going through the central side, it is going through the local egress, internet egress, then it connects through the ISP, it connects to the network POP, right, which is the nearest to the location that he's connected to. Once he connects to the network point, the next hop is the service front door, and you can see the service front door is little far from where the POP is, right? And then it connects to the data, but still you can see there is a reduction which is 25 now, right? And now based on the constant connection that happens, there's a lot of traffic that is flowing from this particular network POP. Then in that case, Microsoft Global Network would think of placing a service front door right near to the POP, network POP. Okay, so in that case, if you see now, the amount of time it takes to connect is just 10, right? So this is something that you really need to convince to the customer, because they need to understand that direct is the way to have a better performance for any Office 365 services rather than having a centralized internet egress. So these are some of the things that you may have to discuss when we talk about the network assessment or the network topology discussion or the environmental discussion that we do as part of the Microsoft Teams meeting workshop.
So what is the tool?
Network assessment? Yeah. So network assessment is the first thing that we do as a network assessment is we understand from what is the network topology that they have. So those will start with a set of questionnaires that we send across to the customer. They will send that details to them. I'm just telling you the process that is involved because that is what is required, right? So once you have a fair understanding, you will probably set up a call with the network team and the AD team to understand what is their current, what are the number of sites and all of that. Then comes the bandwidth calculation, right? So there is a network planning tool, network planning that is available where you can do a bandwidth calculation. So the bandwidth calculation that you would do is not something that is something that you can go with completely, or it is the accurate one, but it is just giving you an approximate idea of what is the amount of bandwidth that is required based on, there are a lot of things that goes into it. Like for each of those workloads, like for example, you may have a site where there are a lot of support people sit, right? So they do a lot of desktop sharing, they do a lot of audio video calls, right? So based on the workloads and the what feature has been used, the amount of bandwidth that is required matters, right? So the kind of people, you may have few people who are always remote. So in that case, it doesn't even count to your own network. They may connect to the internet, and from there they will connect to Office 365, right? So when you plan the when you do this bandwidth calculation, it is very important to first have the set of personas defined. You're defining the type of people, the kind of people who are there within the organization, and what is their regular way of connecting and collaborating. What are the tools that they're using, and what are the modalities that they would probably use within Teams, video call, or audio video call, or desktop sharing, or only chat. So based on that, you will have a fair understanding for each of those personas. So once you define the personas, then you are defining for each site. Like if you have some 5 sites, for each site, how many of those personas will be there? Like you will have 5 information workers, maybe 10 remote workers. So in that way, once you have those information included as a part of the bandwidth calculation, by end of that, it will give you what is the bandwidth required for this location, okay, and what is the existing bandwidth that you have and how much you may have to upgrade.
Apart from voice we can do, like, apart from voice, let's say 100 users have same persona, like
same persona. So it's very easy to calculate.
Very easy. So basically, how do you define bandwidth for per let's say application terms of, maybe I'm saying wrong. Application is like SharePoint, right? Outlook, right, and the desktop sharing. So how much bandwidth, you define per application per user? Like, let's say for desktop sharing, you need almost 25 KB to 50 KB, right? It is like that, or maybe 1 MB, or so on. So is there any set of calculation?
Yes, it is there.
Or a sheet available? Or
Yeah, it is there. Right? It is. Yeah, it is. So when I say when these are just the inputs that it is taking from you.
There might be chances, up and down.
Yeah, of course. So only we say it is an approximate value.
25 years.
Yeah, approximate value.
We always take 25% more, for just to sit
That's
on the
right.
safer side. But if there would be, calculation, it would be easier to, when you define the persona, definitely you can calculate easily.
Yeah, that's right. So for like the one that you mentioned, like for example, email, how much do I need? SharePoint, how much do I need? So each of those workloads are different. So there is a different calculation for Exchange.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a different calculation for Teams. So though behind the scene it's using leveraging Exchange and SharePoint and everything, but when we talk about Teams, we are clearly calling out how much would a desktop sharing would require based on the size, the screen size. Okay, and when he is initiating a one-on-one call,
let's take higher side.
So there is a bandwidth. You get that.
Is it available?
Yeah, it is available. The simplest way of doing it is in the persona. No, it is there even in the team admin center.
Okay.
Network planning is now available. Okay. Even otherwise, if you just log into, there is a My Advisor. That was a web link. Okay, I'm not sure now it is still available or not, but there you can do the same thing. If you want to know for one call, one person with one single persona, you can just do it for one user and you will get the calculation for that. So that's how you do. So bandwidth calculation is one thing. Once you have the bandwidth calculation, when we talk about the network assessment, bandwidth calculation is one part of it, right? The next comes, how is your network going to behave when Teams is introduced? So when Teams is introduced, if you don't know how the traffic is going to flow through, what are the network components that it will touch through, where it needs to be excluded, but it is not excluded, and what is the quality that you're receiving is what you need to test in the network assessment, right? So for that, we have tools. We have a network assessment tool which is there, and there's also a companion tool which is available now, which is more of a UI based. And when you run that, you can clearly get a clear view about what is the jitter and what is the roundabout that it is taking, and how is the traffic going within your own network. So, and reaching Office 365. So one is when we do this kind of a network assessment, we do one within the network, the client network itself, right?
Is it free?
Yeah, it is free. And then you yes, because for every site you will have to see how it is behaving, right? So you will see from the internal network, okay, you will have that tool run from the client network itself, so that it knows how much time it is taking to reach the edge network, and then the ISP, and then the network, the global network.
Just we need to, because I have little knowledge on these things. So do we need to install on PC and just run it, or do we need to configure something on the network side also, which to just recognize that something, I don't know.
No, you just have to install it just like any other client. Just run it. You would probably choose to run business hours, off business hours. So you will choose when to run it.
So basically, the report shows how the network goes from your client into your Office 365.
So that means your assessment tool will have the central server IP addresses. Or do we need to define it?
No. You just have to define. You just have to run that.
Is already there.
So it is already there. It's very simple.
It always find those servers.
Yeah. So you will first run it from the client network, the customer's client network. Then you run it from the edge. Okay. The reason being, from edge, if you run it, you will get to know if there is something that is blocking in the ISP, or if there is no proper peering that is available in ISP, because of which there is a delay. If you run it from within your network, you'll get to know that what are the network components that are there which is actually blocking. Okay, so this is the 2 points that you run in business hours of business hours.
How you run from the edge?
Edge you can run it. Edge you can, perimeter network you can run it. Any client which is connected to edge network, you can run it from there. So that is how it is done. So that is another step where you will understand, and then you will go about with the recommendation, what are the things that you need to do. On a high level for the topology itself, when you have to talk about, that's when you are telling them have a local internet egress. It should not be centralized. And wherever you have, it could be proxy, it could be firewall, or any other network components that you have, you need to exclude Teams, because Teams is already encrypted. So you don't need those additional encryption or any inspection that has to happen over the traffic that is Teams traffic. So you need to make sure that those devices identify that these are the Office 365 network, Office 365 requests, and it will separate that from going through those inspections. So this is what, there are customers who would have heard about the private connection, right? Private connection to Office 365, like the express route that we are talking about. And they would always want to have that for their company, right? And we also always say that for Office 365, we don't recommend having an express route. And the reason why we say so is something that this scenario talks about. You need to really understand that when you have a private connection, right? What happens is, suppose a branch user is connecting to a data center, then he will egress out of that private connection that you have. It connects to some other point, right? It connects to Washington, D.C., the one that we can see here. It is connecting to a network point which is in Washington, D.C., while the user is in San Francisco, right? And he has a local connection, but because there is a dedicated network connection, he has to go through that. And because it is a network POP connection here, it is connecting to a service front door which is near to this, which may not be relevant to the user who is connecting. And then it connects to the data that is available here. And even if they cache the data to nearest location to what the service front door that the user is using, it still doesn't make any difference for them, right? So this kind of an optimization, placing another service front door which is near to the network POP, or bringing the data near to the user, will not make any relevance to the user at all, because he is going by a fixed line. There is an optimization that is happening within the global network, Microsoft global network. It may not make sense to him. So to even leverage all of those investment that is done, and even those optimization that we do based on the trends that we see, the telemetry that we see on how the user is connected, what is the flow at this point, do we really need a service front door there so that we can optimize their connection. So all that investment that is done will not be leveraged by user if you don't have these basic principle in place for connecting to Office 365 network. Okay, so that is what this talks about. Any questions so far? No? So this again is the same thing. There are 3 ways that you can connect. One is you can have a data center. That is the central location that we were talking about so far. There are some customers who have some security as a service offer. So every connection that goes to Office 365 comes through, it goes through that. So they have an additional hop, right? So that again will cause some kind of a delay. And next comes IaaS. Some also have their security solutions on infrastructure as a service. Again, that is not something that is optimal for us. So that is not something that we suggest for Office 365 traffic. What we suggest is the simple way of connecting. The local egress. Bring your traffic. Bring your traffic as soon as possible to the network, global network. That is a simple message that you have to take to your customers. This security as a service. As a service. So this is what you can see. It is just a telemetry on this is a real telemetry of how different customers are connecting, and based on those lines you can see that when they use a security as a service, or if they're using a centralized egress, which is the blue line, with IaaS is the blue line, you can see that how the delay is, right? So only the one which has the minimum delay and the minimum latency that they see is the green one. Okay. So far it is clear, right? This is the point that you need to take to the customer. It's a very simple takeaway, actually, if you see. Every network components that you have should recognize Office 365 and exclude Office 365 traffic. It has to be as direct as possible. And I want to give at least 1 hour for you all to have a lunch break. So I'm just, these are simple takeaways which we have already discussed. Optimize your Office 365 traffic. By that, what we mean is the endpoint that we have, Office 365 endpoint, that should be recognized by your network systems. Okay, and local egress, always have a local egress from your branch site. Don't take the traffic back to the central site and then egress from the central site.
It's not easy for the customer because there are so many security equipment in the central site, and they ensure all the traffics will
go through that. So that is what I was talking in the SaaS and trends that are changing in networking. So earlier it was that you had to put all your network solutions in place from the network edge point that they have, that the customer has. But now it is all these solutions that are there, the network solution and the security solutions that are there. Security solutions are moving closer and closer to the user at the identity level, at the device level, right? At the service level itself. So you really don't need to have those. When we say exclude Office 365 traffic, the reason we are saying is it is already encrypted. It already has all those security requirements for the traffic that has been sent across. So having this principle, you can really have a local egress for Office 365 traffic, while for other internet-based traffic, it can still go through the proxy. If you have a proxy in place, then in that case, you will have to make sure that the Office 365 traffic is excluded from that. Okay, so enable direct connectivity. That is important. You also need to work with the ISP provider. If you say that there is not good peering available, and there's a lot of latency at the ISP level, which is identified, then you will have to talk to your ISP provider to have that optimized. And modern security as a service is something that is already available as part of the service itself. So you need to make sure that all the Office 365 traffic is bypassed through proxies and other network components that is there. I hope this information was helpful for you all. Now let's run through the demo on Office 365 networking onboarding tool and network